spoken about Mario Kart Tour that much on my channel, well, this is its video to shine. Today, I'm going to be focusing on the top 10 Mario Kart Tour city tracks. Because the one thing that Mario Kart Tour has that makes it stand out from all of the other Mario Kart tracks is that it has tracks that are based off real world locations. So today, I'm going to be focusing on that. Now before I start, there are a few rules. Some tracks have different versions of it. So for instance, the Mario Kart track London Loop, it has London Loop 1, then London Loop 2 and London Loop 3. All the ones that have different versions, I'm just going to lump them all into one, and I'm going to talk about all three versions into one entry of the list. And also, the two non-city tracks, Merry Mountain and Ninja Hideaway, will not be counted. It's just going to be focusing on the city real-world location tracks. And also bear in mind that this video is being made in April 2022. So some tracks may be added into the future that will not be in this list. So the following tracks that will be on this list are Sydney Sprint, Amsterdam Drift, Singapore Speedway, Tokyo Blur, Los Angeles Laps, Berlin Byways, Paris Promenade, Vancouver Velocity, London Loop, and New York Minute. So if you're happy with that, let's get going. So in last place is Paris Promenade. Now I've already said a bit about this track when I was reviewing Wave 1 in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, and I do find this track to be pretty unpredictable and pretty hard. As we go on in this list, you'll find out that this track is the emptiest out of all the other city tracks in this game. There's just so much empty space that I felt like Nintendo could have filled it out a bit more. However, I really do like the bit where you glide across the Eiffel Tower. That bit is definitely the highlight of this track. I mean, I'm sure this track will grow on me on the future, but for now, it's the worst city track in the game. Next up is Los Angeles Laps. Now this track is a beach track, so there isn't really too much going on. Just like Paris Promenade, this track has a lot of empty space. And I don't really like the music either. There isn't really that much to Los Angeles Laps, since it's the reason why that is so low down. It kind of reminds me of GBA Cheap Cheap Island, GCM Peach Beach and DS Cheap Cheap Beach all rolled into one track. And those three tracks, well yeah, they are pretty good. All three of them are very empty and quite barren. So this track, especially for a city track, feels really barren and nothing else really happens aside from just racing on a beach. Let's go to Japan next, the home of Nintendo. Tokyo Blur is in 8th place. And yeah, I really do like this track. And its remake in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And honestly, it's from this point where I start to really like the tracks. This track is really fun to race on, and I like how you can see the Tokyo Tower in the distance. However, I would have preferred it if you could drive underneath it, like you could drive underneath the Eiffel Tower in Paris Promenade. However, I still do really like this track. However, the barriers on this track is pretty high, so it's actually quite hard to see all of the different Japanese buildings in the distance. And also, the music is a bit generic. It kind of sounds a lot like 3DS Cooper City, honestly, the music does, the more I think about it. Those two are really my only complaints about Tokyo Blur. Everything else about this track is pretty good. Honestly, I was having a hard time choosing between Tokyo Blur or Sydney Sprint. But I think I do prefer Sydney Sprint, just by a little bit. Both tracks are pretty similar. However, I do prefer the music of Sydney Sprint over the music of Tokyo Blur. And also you can see the city of Australia a lot better. There's also a lot more to look at, like the Ferris wheel or even a theme park ride, or at least that's what I think it is. So yeah, that's why I kind of do prefer Sydney Sprint over Tokyo Blur. There's just a lot more to look at and the music is way better. This track is the newest track to be added as of the date of recording. This track kind of reminds me a lot of 3DS Daisy Hills, and honestly, the music kind of sounds a bit like the GCN Daisy Cruiser track. So maybe Nintendo is confirming that Daisy is Dutch, or has Dutch origins or something? I don't know. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Amsterdam Drift is a really good track, and I love all of the windmills in this track, since the Netherlands does have a lot of windmills in real life, so I love it. It's a really great addition to Mario Kart Tour, and hopefully it will be in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. Next is London Loop. I suppose since I live in the UK, this track does have an unfair advantage, and yeah, it does, but there's still 4 tracks that I like better than London Loop. This track is really good though. There are so many landmarks in London to look at in this track, like the Red Post Box, the London Bus, Tower Bridge, Big Ben, and even the Red Telephone Box. You can even drive on Buckingham Palace on one of the versions of London Loop. And I really like the chain chomps and how in the version of the track where you get to drive on Buckingham Palace, the chain chomp sort of acts like the guards of the palace. However, I would have preferred it if this track rained like it did in GBA Luigi Circuit or 3DS Cooper City, since, you know, the UK is kind of known for its rainy weather. And also the music isn't really that good. I still really do like this track though, and it still is an epic representation of London. My word, this track is epic. I've never been to Singapore before, but boy, I really want to after seeing this track. I just love how alive this track is. There's this gliding jump that you can take, and you can look at all of the numerous skyscraper buildings there, and it just looks so alive. You can even glide above a football pitch, and football is my favourite sport. It would have been even better if you could drive across it though. You can even see an air blimp in the track as well. The fact that it's set in the night time is the icing on the cake. It gives this track its own unique identity, something that London Loop missed out on since Nintendo didn't make the track rain. This track is awesome, but it's not the best. Now let's go back to America. My word, this track is awesome. This track is also set in this night time, just like Singapore Speedway. This track just feels so alive as well, just like Singapore Speedway. I love the attention to detail that Nintendo puts into this track. And in one version of New York Minute, if you're really observant, you can even see the Statue of Liberty as well. This track is pretty similar to Singapore Speedway, honestly. However, what I really love about this track is the music. This track has the best music out of all of the city tracks. The music is so awesome, and everything about this track is amazing, but it's still not the best. There's so much love about Vancouver Velocity. From the northern lights to the fireworks, this track is beautiful. I also love the fact how you can drive on an ice skating rink, with the crowd cheering you as you race on it. It's epic. This track looks so visually appealing as well. Nintendo must bring this track back to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. They must! They simply must. It is a necessity. This music is so good, and it's probably my second favourite theme after New York Minute. This track is honestly just amazing, and I can't really find any flaws about this track at all. It's so good. But there is one track that's even better than Vancouver Velocity. Here's a fun fact about me. I love the city Berlin. I love reading and learning about the city, its history, its landmarks and everything. There's just something about Berlin that really fascinates me. While I've never been to Berlin before, I would absolutely love to go someday. If there's any place in the world that I would love to visit that I haven't been before, it's Berlin. Well, until that day comes, I suppose the Mario Kart Tour Track Berlin Byways will have to keep me going. You guys probably weren't expecting to see Berlin Byways to make it all the way to number 1. But here we are. I just love the city Berlin so much. Not only does that music absolutely slaps, I also love all of the famous landmarks in the real city of Berlin that Nintendo put into this track. At the very start of the track, you are greeted by the Brandenburg Gate, which you can glide across it, the Berlin Zoo. However, I would have loved Nintendo to include the Reichstag building as well. I think that would have been another awesome addition to this track. You can even see parts of the Berlin Wall, back from when Berlin was split into East and West Berlin. It's epic! I love everything about this track, it's so good. This track wants me to go and immediately book a flight to Germany so I can go and visit Berlin. It's so good and I love it so much. Yes, Berlin Byways is by far, without a doubt, my favourite Mario Kart Tour city track in the game. And I also love the fact how in one section you can even drive on the train. It's just a whole package. Yes, Berlin Byways is without a doubt the best Mario Kart Tour city track. And that's the video. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to see more stuff like this. I shall see you all not next Friday, but the Friday after for another Mario Kart video. Goodbye.